I try to consider myself a little bit in the middle of the road, but when it comes down to judging where car brands are currently ranked, I have opinions and I'm sharing them with you today. We are going to be ranking the worst car brand loyalties that you can have. So I'm AlexMartini with 2 underscores on Instagram, and today we're talking about cars, okay? I put the list of the manufacturers that we do have ranked actually in the description pinned comment here, which you can then change around and send it to me in the comments and tell me why you changed it around. We start off with F. The only brand that's F tier right now, in my opinion, is not Hyundai. Got your ass. It's Tesla. My problem with Tesla is that I think they're doing a great job in the EV space, and I think they're doing a pretty good job kind of building their own thing. But from a car manufacturer perspective, they still got a long way to go. The consumer appreciation, or the consumer, like, what do you even call it? Most reliable cars by brand. In 2018, 2019, Tesla was ranked the 31st. Also the worst in the list at 57.3%. Not only that, but I do think sometimes Tesla people do make me a little uncomfy, okay? I don't know what it is, the constant need to tell me about the 0 to 60 time, or just the fact that they all look like the one kid that wanted to tell you a fun fact in school but wasn't allowed to because the class ran out of time, and then they kept you behind to tell you it anyway. I'm just not a big fan. But there's still an F. Going up into D in no particular order. Number 1, Jeep. Borderline F. More expensive than it's worth. It doesn't tow. For some reason, people are cults to Jeeps, and I don't know why. I don't know if you go into a Jeep dealership, if they stab you with like some sort of penicillin that makes you love the fact that everything below the ankles is terrible and analog, and I get why. I've gotten the Jeep spiel from Jeep people. Oh, it's so that water can get inside the Jeep. No, it's not. Fiat is making those Jeeps as cheap as humanly possible, and they've marketed your ass to believe that power seats aren't waterproof. Okay, let me tell you, for $60,000, you should get a couple things that can move when you press a button. It blows my mind that you can't do that. And don't get me wrong, Jeep is kind of cool. And the fact that the Jeep Wrangler remains the best vehicle for holding its value. I don't know what's holding up the value of these Jeeps. The girls at UCLA, I don't know if it's my wife. I don't know if it's the men. I don't know what's going on, but I don't like it. Next, Maserati. Pretty much only owned for masochists, but I have never heard a single person in my entire life say, I love maintaining my Maserati. I love owning this car. Nope, nobody. I know 2 people that have one. Maserati's sitting in the D list, okay? Next up, and I hate to do it to the brand. I hate to do it. Mitsubishi, okay? It's an air conditioning company that sometimes makes cars, and I wanted to give it a better score, okay? Practically SUVs with wicked warranties at this point, but Mitsubishi, they don't have anything cool in the lineup anymore. There's nothing exciting in the lineup. I go to Mitsubishi, I go to die. My life is inherently over. I have gotten the kids, I have locked my career in, and I am just stuck. The only thing though, okay, and I want to be clear because we're jumping into the C tier now. The only thing that separates Mitsubishi from this next brand, which might hurt some feelings, is one car, and that's the Miata. Because at the bottom of C list is Mazda. But for some reason, the only thing they have left are SUVs and Mazda Miata, which I would argue that they can barely make because they're still splitting differences with Fiat to try and keep it moving. And that worries me because the moment the Miata goes away, Mazda is going to lose a lot of their fluff. Fiat, that's on the list too. It's your art teacher in 3rd grade. Fiat's cool. They do stuff and things, but for some reason, every single time I think of Fiat, I think of Mini Cooper. And when I think of Mini Cooper, it's just like a more pronounced brand. I don't mind Fiat. The Fiat Abarth 500 has to be one of my favorite little tiny tinker cars that you could possibly drive. But I've never seen them in enough of like a presence to say like that looks like a fun group to be a part of. Like Mazda at least has like RX-8 owners that just enjoy getting their shit kicked in constantly. And they're like, this is a blast, I love it. FD RX-7 owners are like, this is a blast, I love it. Fiat, I just don't think really has that. I had to come in with a little bit of domestic love because mid-tier C, the first one of the big 3, it's going to General Motors, but it's going to Chevy specifically, okay? It's the Drunk Perkins trip. I tried to make these all analogies so that I could help. Maybe you can put your own Halo 2 intro statement on these, but for me, it's a Drunk Perkins trip, and let me explain why. I've never, out of my way, have chosen to go to Perkins, and I don't think you have either, and I don't like it, okay? And Chevy feels a little bit the same way. They've got the Corvette and the Malibu, but somehow the Camaro is dead. The Corvette Z06, super dope, super exciting, an absolute treat, a blast. A 2:30 a.m. Perkins run with your boys and gals while you're having a good time, a little bit drunk. Okay, but once you sober up, all you really realistically have in the lineup is a Malibu. Then we have Acura. Okay, and there's two ways that I could explain this because there's some good cars in the lineup, but for some reason, when I look at Honda and Acura, I don't think of Acura being above Honda. I don't know what it is with that. I don't know where I am. If I'm in the wrong, you will definitely correct me because you're the internet. But Acura is not that fantastic for me when I compare it to Honda. Even with the release of the Type S that they're planning to do, I know that it's a rebadged, slightly nicer Honda Civic Type R, but the Honda Civic Type R is already a really nice car. So I don't really know why I would buy an Acura when the Type R exists. Anyway, the analogy that I have for this one is, have you ever taken a poop and thought you didn't need to wipe and then realize you do, and now you're disappointed because you have to go back to the bathroom? That's how I feel about Acura. Top of C list is Mercedes-Benz. It's like the League of Legends all chat. I really enjoy Mercedes-Benz when I own them after their depreciation curve. But if you buy anything from Mercedes that's like 2022 to 2017, that is a clean title, that isn't an AMG GTC or GTR, you are paying so much out the ass. It doesn't financially make sense for you to be buying a Mercedes-Benz. The cars are fantastic, but the depreciation can put you in a coma. B is where things start to get hot, a little bit heavy, but still monetization appropriate because I need food. Ford is like Ulysses O'Hare. That's all. Like, they've got the Mustang, they got the Bronco, they got the Raptor, they got the Ford Raptor Ranger, they got a ton of SUVs, but at least they still have some cool stuff in the lineup. That's what I do like about Ford. It seems like a more refined Dodge, where it's like, hey, we're gonna give you some cool stuff, but we're still going to make stuff that everybody wants to buy. Like the Ford F-150 is just like, it's never gonna stop being made. It's made like every 8 minutes. But that's where it sits. That's where all in it. Right next to it is Nissan. Nissan's still doing good. They're still supporting the S chassis. They still have 10 years with the 350Z and 10 years with the 370Z, so the support's gonna exist forever. The GTR is still a good car, even though they keep making it forever and ever and ever. It's a Nissan thing to do. The only thing I have to say about it is that they need to pull through with the Nissan Z. The Nissan Z has to hit its core audience, because if it doesn't, there is no sports car option in the Nissan lineup outside of the GTR, and nobody can afford that. Why am I burping? Dodge is up next. You remember the meme where it's like, yeah, concrete? That's Dodge. Nobody buying a Dodge Hellcat for the interior. They're buying it so that they can just literally do the most basic, childish, man-child actions behind a steering wheel, and it's still considered legal because Dodge does all of that for you. You just press the pedal and go. It's literally just a less tech-savvy Tesla owner, in my opinion, and you still get the crazy-ass drivers that come along with it. I want one, like, secretly, but I just don't think I'd ever actually buy one. Next up, getting to the top of the list, we've had between two left in the B list. We got Audi, which I would consider to be like Olive Garden when you went to prom in high school. Very fancy at the time. You thought it was a very nice quality place. They served Italian food, so that meant that it was good, and the brick looked cool. But then as you get older, you realize it's fake. It's actually not that great, and the prices aren't that insane. So Audi as a whole, that's what it is for me. The performance models of Audi slap. They're super good, but it's still kind of a boring car. It's a very standard clad design. You're not gonna get anything too excessive with Audi. I would argue that even its most excessive designs, like the R8 and the RS6, aren't that excessive when you look at the grandiose competition in the space. Now that may speak to people that love that, and I would argue that once you get past one generation, Audis make a great car. There's a guy here in town, his name's Cornelius. He has, I've seen him drive an RS5, he had some RS models, he had some other cars, but this man always picks up like that year RS, like it's always one generation off, and he makes them beautiful. Oh my God, I want one. Top of the B list goes out to Lexus. It's good. Lexus has like this recent EV push that's pretty mediocre. Also, Mazda's new CEO has a huge EV push. Lexus also has this, and they're still innovating. They're just not innovating in the space people want. They're innovating like yoke designs and drive-by wire designs in their EV SUVs that feel very, very weird. You can turn a Lexus steering wheel 90 degrees and get almost a full lock of steering in the new Lexus SUV. That is nuts to me. Tesla can't do that with the Tesla Plaid, and they still introduced the yoke design that you can't do the thing with. It looks cool. It looks like a rocket ship. But once you start to drive it, you're like, where the is the top of my steering wheel? At least Lexus has that going. That's why it's a B. Tesla was an F, you know? We're going into A territory now. Bottom of the list, Volvo. This is the suit you buy after your first wedding, okay? It's good. A little pricey, but you still appreciate it if you own one. The Polestars, I think, look fantastic. You good? Quality, fantastic. Cars are great. The Polestars, I think, are way too pricey, but the Polestar editions within the Volvo lineup look awesome. I think that when you do pick one of these up, if you're one of the few, a lot of times if you can afford it, you really are getting a bang-on car that can do pretty much everything without it being too excessive in any regard. Do I have a hair in my eye, or are you just happy to see me? Now we have Volkswagen. Volkswagen's a good one. It's a good restaurant you go to where the one waiter got in trouble in the local news for being racist, because Volkswagen just always seems to get in trouble. Every like 10 years, they do something just idiotic. They get caught with their pants down, but they make really good food. Sometimes you just gotta eat. That's Volkswagen for me. I've never actually personally owned a Volkswagen, but there's a lot of people that have, and they love them, and it's like a cult. And once you get in it, man, that is a plastic bag, Waffles. Oh, he's just gonna lay in it. Perfect. That's my favorite thing to do. Above Volkswagen though, which might make a couple people upset, it's BMW. Let me explain why BMW is up here, okay? Because to me, it's like if you had to go to brunch with your significant other's friends and you didn't want to, but once you're there, you really enjoy it. That is BMW. BMW's new G80 series, all that sort of stuff, their new M4, their new M3. The front end, it took a bit for a lot of people to get used to. The M2 competition, the new one, took a lot of time for people to get it, adjusted to. That does not change the fact that these cars are f***ing fantastic. It does not change the fact that BMW is on another goddamn level with their interiors, designing, with what you get out of the box for the value. Sure, they depreciate a little bit, but oh my God, these cars are lovely. Top of the A list is Toyota. My analogy for that one would be like, Toyota's like mommy, Toyota's like if LeBron James didn't play basketball. That's what Dakota told me to tell you. But for me, Toyota is just good. It's got the best depreciation opportunity across its entire lineup. Technically speaking, from which cars to buy, you should buy Toyotas. They're the only ones that go up in price next to our S-tiered cars that we're about to talk about. There's nothing in the Toyota lineup that doesn't meet some sort of demand from anyone in the whole world, and they do it really well. And the new Supra, in my opinion, is probably one of the best sports cars you can buy. S-tier, baby. We're coming in with number 3, Suzuki. Okay, the category you always go to in your incognito mode. That is Suzuki. Suzuki was the most reliable brand in 2018. The Suzuki still makes some incredible vehicles out there, and Suzuki's well known internationally. First off, Americans, just because it doesn't do well in America land doesn't mean it doesn't do well, period. Suzukis are awesome. They're affordable. They do a lot of off-road cool shit. They're small, they're funky, but they're not ugly. I love them. You should too. Suzukis are a bang-on thing. They should come back to the United States in force, and I would happily drive one. If not, I'm buying a K-Truck, and no one can tell me otherwise. Second place was tied between 2 brands, Honda and Porsche. It's not Porsche unless you own one. Second place to me, unfortunately, and I hate to say it, goes to Porsche. Now here's why. Porsche is a supper club with 4 wheels. They have everything going for them right now. The 911 is undoubtedly my favorite sports car. It's one of the best sports cars ever made. It has the Turbo S lineup. It has the Turbo. It's got the 911. It's got all the different variants. It's got the Targa. It's got the GTS. It's got everything. Okay, they have something for the upper echelon of this scene, and I don't mind it. I want a Porsche. I want to start buying budget Porsches, building them, then selling them, and hopefully get enough money to have a really expensive 911 one day, because that is my I want one so very bad. But Porsche's expensive. It's a little too much for me. It's a little too much for pretty much anyone. And the markups on them are insane, and the dealers don't help. So number 1 goes out to Honda. It is the Tapatio of cars. Right now, Honda is such a balanced platform for pretty much anyone, for any type of enthusiast. Their SI's fantastic trim. Even the EX budget stuff, when you start getting into it, you go into old school stuff. Awesome cars. The Type R is a fantastic platform. And I have not heard a single person that is jumping into a Type R that goes out and doesn't enjoy it. And from a value per dollar perspective, the Honda Civics can't be beat. They're reliable, they're everywhere, they last a long time. You can get them serviced literally anywhere. They're still a Honda, they're affordable, and they do a really good job. So that, my friends, is my rankings of A through F on the car manufacturers of 2023. You let me know if you think I'm f***ing nuts or if you think I'm onto something. I'm Alex, AlexMartini with 2 underscores on Instagram, and we will see you later. Adios.